Alright, folks, and welcome back to the channel. We're here to discuss tomorrow night's game against Stuttgart, the second leg of the Europa League playoff round. I'm just going to say it first and foremost, a game that's probably going to be absolutely pointless. In the grand scheme of things, the damage was already done in the first leg as we get beat 4-1 after the same opponents. Alistair, though, is the game pointless?
I think you'd be daft to say it's no, to be honest, because because see, to be honest, it's basically like you remember when we played who who was that mid-season friendly we played? Mo Bangura scored. It was oh I think it was Stoya Bucharest or something. Anyway, it was one of the reigning teams, and it was basically after the winter break. That's what it's like, Josh. It's absolutely pointless. And don't get me wrong, I hope the the fans there in Stuttgart had a good time and all the rest of it, but I'll be honest, apart from that, the rest of this game can go fuck itself, quite frankly.
Aye, it's. I think this video I'm going to actually maybe we'll try and preview as much as we can in the game, but I don't know what you want me to tell you is that you've probably not already heard all of it elsewhere, but I think it's important in this video. I'm going to try and look at where Celtic actually sit in the kind of European, you know, chain, if you know what I mean. Because as we've seen for years of neglect in Europe has seen smaller clubs and actually, get their act together and become bigger European sides in the modern era than what Celtic have. And that, is, unfortunately for us, is just the facts of it. Celtic have not won a European knockout tie, or will not win. It'll be now 22 years
Aye.
since Celtic have another chance to win a European knockout tie. Probably you're looking like it being in the Conference League if we even get through the league phase of the Conference League next season. And I honestly never thought I would say this, but I don't even think that's a guarantee either. Um, Celtic in this current state, but that's going forward. Celtic have reached, I think, the round of 16 of a competition, Europa League and Champions League, twice since
Three times.
2000. Since the playoff. I'll include the playoffs in. I'll include the Champions League playoff in it. But Europa League's round of 16 once, I'm pretty sure, against
Aye, Zenit.
Copenhagen. Copenhagen
Zenit.
and Zenit as well. So there you go. Zenit St. Pete's, that's three then. Zenit's four, sorry. Zenit, Copenhagen, obviously Juventus in 2012, and obviously Bayern Munich in the playoff of the Champions League last season. For a club like Celtic, when you see the other clubs that have been able to get further in all the competitions, that's just no acceptable. And I don't care what any of the board try and tell you, and the excuses that they give you, it's just no acceptable. Ross Desmond looks like an absolute tit when he comes out and says it's all about UEFA regulations. Try to tell that to Bodo Glimt, who have got a 55,000 population in their city in Norway. I think their biggest transfer fee is £4 million, and they nearly get relegated in 2018. But we have to sit here and we have to sit here and we have to believe that it's taught to do UEFA regulations. I'm sorry, that doesn't wash, and it shouldn't wash with any the other supporters or anybody that's watching this. The problem is, for years, the domestic bliss that we have enjoyed under this board has covered up for the numerous European failings under this board. This board are responsible, as I said, for not winning a European knockout tie in 21 years. So now the domestic blisses went away, seemed like people are starting to see how far this club away from your Bodo Glimts, your Club Bruges, your Dutch teams, we are so far away that you can't even see these other teams compared to where we are. And that's the reality, Alistair. I had to say that. That is just the reality of where Celtic are in Europe.
I'll be honest with you, Josh. Forgetting knockout ties, Champions League qualifiers tell you where we are in
I
Europe.
forgot about that.
We all know the list. Malmo, Maribor, Cluj,
Give me a minute. Keep going. I'm going to actually get them up for you.
Kairat, Ike Athens.
Ike Athens, because I think that was the third qualifying round.
And that, and a lot of the games, Josh, on
Ferencváros as well, by the way.
Well, and on 2 or 3 occasions, that's not even been the playoff round.
Aye.
The last, I may be wrong here, but I think I'm right. The last Champions League qualifier we won. Would you like to hazard a guess?
Astana.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, that's it.
And that was
And when was
2017, 2017-18, that would have been season.
So the year Bodo Glimt get relegated.
We'll nearly get relegated. So
Well, you get my
nearly.
point.
Aye. So that's nearly that. See, in 2 years, that's coming up for 10 years. Since Celtic won it. We're not going to be in the Champions League qualifiers next year, it looks like. So you've got, if we don't win a Champions League qualifier
And
the following year, it's 10 years since we won a qualifier. That is just
and you want
Christ.
and I'm sorry, Josh, you're right about the knockout tie, but I just thought the Champions League qualifiers are a better gauge.
No,
Because
aye.
let's be honest, and I'll be accused of being entitled, but I don't think I am. Celtics will be winning at least 8 out of 10 of them.
We should be beating Cluj. No,
Yeah.
scrap that. We should be beating winning every. Celtic, with the finances that they have got, should be, at least competitive in the ties. It's just you've got no faith, and that's the big thing. You've got no faith, and with the two kind of gauges we use there, with the the knockout ties and the actual Champions League qualifiers, they all mix together to paint one picture. The complete neglect when it came to it's come to Celtic in Europe over the last 2 decades. We can talk all we want about what we used to be like, performance against Manchester United, Juventus stuff. That's all well and good, but it's meaningless. I hate to say it's meaningless.
I mean, nobody's expect to win a Champions League.
No.
But it's almost as if that stick is being used to beat us with. Or we expect too much, but we expect us to be the best version we can be.
All we expect is for us to be competent. And I can only speak for us too. We only expect Celtic to at least be competent with ourselves in Europe. So at least if we don't get into the Champions League, you're not always guaranteed to win the qualifiers. I get that. No matter how well you prepare, right? But even if we did drop into the Europa League, say we dropped it, we get beat off Kairat, it was a freak result. We dropped into Europa League, but we had the tools to go on and try and maybe get to around the 16 quarter final, maybe.
Do you know the scary thing about the Kairat one? Especially, it wasn't a freak result. Not one of us were surprised.
No, Kairat deserved it. They defended pretty well. They executed the game plan to get to penalties, and it's a lot in it at that point. I mean, but it's just shown where Celtic are in Europe, and the stark reality is that we are absolutely miles away from it. We're miles off it. We are 10, 15 years behind these clubs, and I do think it's that far. Because while we have regressed so much, they've progressed at a rapid rate.
They've caught up.
No, they didn't even caught up. They flew by us.
Yeah.
You know, they flew by us. We're still fucking. They're the Ferraris, and we're still sitting in a Morris Minor
Yeah,
three-wheeler thing.
yeah, I like that quote.
So that's the thing, we're looking, they are so far ahead that we can't even see where they are. And Bodo Glimt last night, against Inter Milan, showed it and showed it. And the Celtic board had a strategy Brendan Rodgers gave them. I'm not expecting us to get into a playoff every season in the Champions League, but we should be beating Kairat Almaty, teams like
Well,
that. It's not acceptable.
I remember sitting next to you the night we got our biggest score-wise, biggest Europe, biggest Champions League one when we beat Slovan Bratislava 5-1. And I turned to you and I said, see what happens when you spend a bit extra? 11 million in Arne Engels, 9 million in Ida. They both paid for themselves that
And
night.
don't get me wrong, right? So say we didn't, say because I think if we did get a Champions League, we'd get a harder run of games. I think did get fortunate a bit with the games, and I think it'd be very, I think you
You
need to
still
obviously.
need to take
No,
advantage.
of course, but I think you obviously need to kind of bring that into factors. But you can still add to that Champions League club. You can still equip yourself the best possible way to try and compete. So we can say that if we didn't qualify at the end, we could go, you know what? We tried our best. That's
Well,
all we ask of Celtic.
the very least you can do, Josh, is get the players and you're going to need. But and that's not helping. Uh, uh, when the European qualifiers are every year, so that's not an excuse.
No, they know it, and they fail every year, And I think the club has became, drilled into this mindset of we can't compete in Europe. We've got a manager
It's
who,
psychological now.
we've got a manager who had some of our best results in Europe, goes to a European final, coming out and saying, "Oh, the landscape's changed and everything else." I'm pretty sure that the same manager managed us against Midtjylland this season. They didn't spend a lot of money. They don't
No,
have a big, massive stadium. So
no.
the European landscape's not changed that much. And Bodo Glimt prove that. Club Brugge prove that. Midtjylland prove it. So let's stop this nonsense of, the European landscape, You don't hear Bodo Glimt moaning about UEFA regulation. You don't hear any club. I've never heard that in my life.
No.
Apart from
That,
in Celtic.
that
Say it.
that's an excuse.
It's an excuse. And it's the excuses we can't even deal with. See if they just come out and says, no, we don't want to spend money. We'd still be annoyed, but we'd at least take it. It's just the
Well,
excuses.
I'll say this to you, Josh, can open a tangent here. See if they're not going to spend money. Why are the season tickets as high?
Because it's no
Read,
because
read
because
that.
they no, I'll tell you why that is, because it's all about how much money they can get in their back pockets. That's why they're going to keep, it's like just mortal inflation. The product gets worse, but the price gets bigger.
Yeah.
And so it's stuff like that. I mean, it's just, does it make it right? No, it doesn't. But that's unfortunately where we are at this moment in time. That we're now at the point where we're saying a European second leg is basically a pointless game, and that's what it is to me. It's pointless.
It's basically an episode of Coach
Um,
Trip because Celtic are coming into town as tourists and and we'll see you next year, maybe.
Aye, no, definitely. It's just, we are, everybody talks about, coming to Celtic Parks. It's great. Of course, it's got to be great because you're guaranteed 3 points.
Yep.
You're guaranteed to come and get 3 points. You can sample the atmosphere, which used to be good, now it's shite. But that's
It doesn't
another
help
story.
when you ban fans, of course.
But that's another kind of story. I mean, so it's just the kind of deterioration of Celtic in Europe is just it's staggering, to be honest with you. And
I mean, I don't, I know times have changed, but you need to adapt.
but they've no changed the way the board make them out to be. Yes, of course. We don't. I don't expect Celtic to compete with an English club when it comes to transfer fees. That's just fucking obvious.
Well,
But there's other evidence of European clubs who are
you
spending
shouldn't even be looking at the English market if you want my honest
uh,
opinion.
who are spending 4 or 5 million in players and doing a better job in Celtic, and that's what I look at. But who knows? I mean, in terms of the game tomorrow, I mean, what would you do in terms of team selection? Would you just go the route of playing B
Play,
players or?
play the, if you could get away with play as many under 19 players as you can get away with.
Uh, um,
Honestly, because
no, but in
let's
my
be
opinion,
honest,
it's done.
you're going to get pumped regardless.
No,
Like
for
I'm
me, it ties over.
completely
Um,
honest.
so, um, but no, I mean, it's just this is
It's actually sad. It really is.
to an extent, but I would also say that's and you probably agree with me. That's what you get me. You're so complacent in terms of European, and they show how much they care about the European stage. They just care about doing the bare minimum to get us into the Champions League, so they can save as much money, so they can keep as much money.
As long as they get the 5, 6 trips a year, that's all they care about.
So, because I look at would it have been hard to get as a winger and a centre forward in for the Kairat game? Don't
Good,
think so.
good segue. I'll give you a scenario. You know the two Plymouth strikers that we've been working with? We really couldn't get them in January
No, exactly.
if we really
Um,
wanted them.
no, no, but it's just I don't know if there's much in that because it wouldn't really make much sense to me, to be honest. But
I know,
I
but
mean,
the point I'm making is if we were interested, uh, you try to tell me we couldn't get them in January, but
aye.
exactly, the ambition's not there, Josh. That's the bottom line.
No, that is a problem. And that is what the thing is. It's just, there's no ambition there. And that's it. The ambition and the 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 um the ambition and wanting to do something is there for the fans, but it's not matched by the club in terms of
Been there
European
for the
stuff.
fans for years, Josh.
Aye, but now because the domestic bliss is away, even the fans that weren't that bothered about Europe are going, oh wait a minute, we're in a really big problem here. But there's been people in here, fans as well, who have been banging the drum for years that Celtic are so far behind in Europe,
And
and we
And
can't
can
get
I
in.
just say, if you've got a team good enough for Europe, Scottish football should take care of itself.
It should take care of itself as well, and it should be at least more competitive. The problem is the issue for me this season isn't that Celtic might not win the league. It's the fact we've not
We've
even
not
been
been
competitive.
competitive.
We've not even been competitive. We've not even tried to push. We've not even back Martinelli and Jag neither. So, but in terms of the European stuff, if you are up against a high level opposition, your game's going to improve. It's no
Yeah.
rocket science, so it
And,
will improve for Scotland, and that's the way of it.
and I will say this, but I mean, and I'm going to put a stat fact out. Do you know the only team in the top 6 we've got 100% record against?
Falkirk.
Falkirk. That's embarrassing. I'm
Um,
embarrassed by that.
and I think if you go to a lot of the games, I've probably not even competed that well.
Aye.
The Hearts games not competed well enough. Probably should be winning that game at Tynecastle, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Rangers having game at New Year were terrible.
Haven't
Um,
they, haven't they beat Rangers? 18 months over 90 minutes.
Russell, and then the game at the start of the season under Russell Martin was terrible, just for two really poor sides. We couldn't even get a result there.
Yeah, no.
And then you got obviously Motherwell. I know we obviously got the result at Celtic Park, but they absolutely tore us apart at Fir Park.
And Hibs have took 4 points out of
Aye,
6
so there
at
you go.
Celtic
At
Park.
Celtic Park, that's been the problems. That's been the main problems. But it's already stuff we already know. But no, in terms of tomorrow's game, to end it off. I mean, I'm generally I'm not that bothered about it, to be honest with you. What will be will be. And I think I'm going to be using that phrase a lot this season because
I think the die is now cast.
Because you've realistically you've got 2 games to say you've got 3 games to save your season.
The only way, Josh, we can guarantee one in the league, and for the record, sorry to say this, but I hope to God I'm wrong, but the only way we can guarantee one in the league is by winning all 11 games,
and that's
and
Celtic
things
team.
will fly.
And this Celtic team, just on the evidence that we're seeing, look what they can't even string 2 or 3 wins together on them. Never mind the rest of the games of this season. So
No, the die is cast.
I said after Hibs, I gave up in the league, and I still stand by that. I'm sorry to be
Felt like it. It did feel like it.
I think people are still hanging on for that bit of, and the reason is it's not because we can't beat Rangers or Hearts like we could. It's the fact we're not going to be able to put a consistent run of games together like other Celtic teams.
Would honestly surprise you if we beat Rangers but then draw with Aberdeen?
Yes, it would surprise me because this squad are also capable of beating Rangers, as you just said, over 90 minutes.
No, but I'm just saying, one good result, Aberdeen will be up for it again, and then you get slapped down.
I don't. Nah, that's what I'm saying. I think we're past that point as well, where one good result, everybody knows the Celtic team are so inconsistent and so poor.
Poor. I wouldn't even say inconsistent. I'd say poor.
So you don't. It's just a thing. But the club can't do anything. They can't even. They're doing random.
They're still not even coming out and talking to us.
Aye, but no. To finish up, I mean, we may as well talk about the bizarre appeal that Celtic decided to put into the SFA, which was weird to say the least.
And Austin Trusty, who I never really said this when we done the utter because I hadn't seen it when we done the podcast. But he's an idiot.
He's just made it's given. And if you think it's not a red card, it's irrelevant in my opinion. You've given the team what you call it,
you've given them a decision. You've given them a chance to send you off.
But anyway, Celtic bizarrely appealed against it, which I don't know.
That was an act of desperation.
It was just screenplay at the gallery, and it was just quite embarrassing, to be honest. But it read, with regards to the outcome of today's hearing regarding Austin Trusty, God provides the following update. We're hugely disappointed at today's decision, which was a result in Austin Trusty being suspended for 3 matches after an arm-to-arm contact as he looked to release himself from being held prior to the ball coming into play. This kind of incident, which features in games across the country week in, week out. The match audio demonstrates that the referee saw the incident. Clearly, immediately following this, the referee said, "It's nothing. I'm just going to speak to them," in terms of no further action being required. In discussions with Celtic manager Martin O'Neill after the match, this was something he also confirmed. However, VR decided to intervene to re-referee an initial decision which had been made. While we await written judgment This and other decisions in the match, and other recent games demonstrate a serious issue with VAR and its current deployment, which needs urgently reviewed. I mean, I don't know what their aim was with this, to be honest. I just dealt it's just pointless.
It seems to me that their aim was to say we've tried.
And that's just been the attitude of the club for years now. It's just, for especially the last 18 months, we've tried to bring in players that clearly aren't good enough. We've tried to bring in players that clearly weren't going to fit the system. We've tried to bring in a manager that clearly was never going to work, and then hang him out to dry. Then we've tried, it's just we've tried. It's a red card, right? And if you don't think it's a red card, then what I would say to you is, don't let him make the decision. Austin Trusty constantly needs to get spoke to at corner kicks, because I get players wrestle each other. I understand that, but just don't give him the decision to make. The referees in this country are poor, so why give them the decision to make? That's what,
especially referees that are new to the game. You don't know how they're going to interpret the rules.
Aye, but just, you can stop all that. We're just not giving them a decision to make.
Yeah,
and that's my kind of attitude.
And as you said, as we said earlier, the ball's not even in play.
No, exactly. It's not what the ball, the ball's been swung in for a corner and he's tried to, get free. He's not even in, the ball isn't even in play. That's the embarrassing thing about it. The ball is not even in the field of play yet, and it's embarrassing. The whole thing is embarrassing, and for me, it just highlights where this club actually is at this season. It just sums it up for me, to be honest with you. But obviously, he will miss the game at Ibrox at the weekend.
Games as well. Now it'll be free.
He'll miss the game at Ibrox at the weekend. He'll miss the game at Pittodrie during the week, and then he'll miss the game against Motherwell at Celtic Park. I think with Austin Trusty is either there or not. I don't think the result changes much in those games, if you want my honest opinion.
But what I would say, Josh, any chance you had of winning it disappeared when he went up that tunnel.
Yeah, the percentages have completely dropped if there was even any sort of a high percentage of us winning the games, but we'll obviously see what happens on that front. But no, I'm going to wrap it up there for today's video. And we'll be back probably at some point, probably Thursday, tomorrow after the game, with post-match reaction to whatever that second leg turns out to be. But until next time, we'll speak to you later, and hail, hail.
Hail, hail.